Hello, fellow preppers. YouTube, 'tis I, the Rumpled One. I mentioned in the video yesterday I'm still reading the book Thinking Fast and Slow. I'm really liking this book. I've already had to renew it once. I'm just glad nobody else realizes how good this book is so I can keep renewing it at the library. I'll share with you a few sentences, a few passages from the book here. Page 172. Changing one's mind about human nature is hard work, and changing one's mind for the worst about oneself is even harder. Ponder that for a second or two. What the author's talking about in this case is that people tend to think highly of other people, look for the best, when sometimes the contrary is actually true. For example, fellow preppers, you probably think that in an emergency you're going to rise to the occasion. You're going to be calm, cool, and collected. You're going to be logical and reasonable. You're going to be able to take charge, take control, and get through it. But what if? Chances are you're going to lose your head and run around like a chicken with your head cut off and just fall to pieces. Now, some people will admit, yeah, that they'll probably crumble under the pressure. But most people, no, they think they'll rise to the occasion. But then a test comes along and they fall apart. And then you ask them later, same question, would you rise to the occasion? They'll tell you yes. They say, well, the last time, blah, 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 but the next time will be different. Now, if you were a betting person, would you bet that they rise to the occasion the second time? Or would you bet they'd fall to pieces again? Think about that for a second. It's one of those hard pills to swallow. Here we go, page 174. There is a deep gap between our thinking about statistics and our thinking about individual cases. Statistical results with a causal interpretation have a stronger effect on our thinking than non-causal information. But even compelling causal statistics will not change long-held beliefs or beliefs rooted in personal experience. What the author's saying here is that basically you're going to think what you want. That's sad state of the human condition. You're going to think what you want, no matter what proof, what statistics say, what the facts are. You're going to think and believe what you want. And if they're really, as he would say, he calls them long-held beliefs. So if you have a bad experience, say when you were a little kid and a dog bit you, you might be afraid of dogs. All dogs. Or if you had a personal experience, say, with somebody of a different ethnicity, race, culture, and chances are you're going to feel hostile towards all people, that race, ethnicity, or culture, because of your personal experience. Even though the statistics bear out that, nope, they're not all like that. Part of the human condition. We hold on to these things that we believe in. Sometimes even in the face of evidence that is not true. I mean, the world is flat. People held on to that for a long time. Somebody comes along and says it's round, they were ready to burn them at the stake. And they did. They hung them. Nailed them to the cross. That was blasphemy. And we laugh at it now because, you know, that was way back then. And of course, here in the 21st century, we can't be like that. Yeah, no, not us. Right? Well, ponder that for a while. I mean, you have to laugh because I'm sure you can think of some personal examples of people just being totally silly here in the 21st century, and you're just going, did evolution really take place? Or maybe it skipped over that family tree. Okay, let's look at page 200. The ultimate test of an explanation is whether it would have made the event predictable in advance. See, what the author's talking about in this particular chapter, it's called the illusion of understanding. You know, that old 20/20 hindsight. Oh yeah, or something happens, you go, oh yeah, I should have seen that coming. No, you shouldn't have. You couldn't have. But our minds want to make everything cause-effect. It's the way we were trained. That's the way we were programmed. That's the way we were educated. Something happens, there has to be a cause. It just can't be random. There has to be a cause. But this guy's work proves that it's not the case in most cases. Something called regression to the mean. In other words, there are no such thing as hot streaks. I don't know if I talked about that in the other video or not. But what happens is that when you look at the entire performance, there are going to be streaks where their performance improves. It looks like drastically. It looks like a hot streak. But then again, their performance will come back to the mean. So if a golfer, you know, shoots 12 under par on day one, chances are he ain't going to shoot that well on day two, right? He's going to revert to the mean, go back to average. You know, if some CEO takes over a company and the company does well that first year, chances are second year it's not going to do as well. It's going to revert to the mean, back to average. That's just how things are in nature. Statistics prove it out. But once again, our minds aren't trained that way. We don't think that way. So because of our minds not being trained that way, and because we have something called ego, it gets in our way a lot of times. Causes us to think we're better than we are. I mean, are you a better than average driver? Think about that. Now, if you were in a room with 100 people and I asked that question, and everybody could write down, so you know they won't put their hand up, are you better than average driver? Chances are you're probably going to get something like 80, 90 people say they're better than average. Well, how can that be if you got a group of 100 people that 80 or 90 of them are going to be better than average? I don't think so. But this book is really interesting, really points out some of the things that we believe that are basically just flat out false. I'll read from page 204. The illusion that one has understood the past feeds the further illusion that one can predict and control the future. These illusions are comforting. They reduce the anxiety that we would experience if we allowed ourselves to fully acknowledge the uncertainties of existence. We all have a need for the reassuring message that actions have appropriate consequences and that success will reward wisdom and courage. Many business books are tailor-made to satisfy this need. Think about that for a second or two. See, illusion as opposed to reality. It's kind of like the Matrix. You really can't control the future. Really can't predict it. So many variables. I mean, some of you know I also trade the markets. I post trading videos. I post on trading forums. But I'm under no illusion that I can control the market. And I tell people, every time you win, it's luck. And I have angered many people. They just hate me out there. Because in their minds, they've studied, they know how the market works, blah, blah, blah. Well, we all know that most fund managers don't beat the performance of the market. It's just that simple. But there's people out there that think they can beat the market. It's just like in business. What is it? 80% of restaurants fail in the first 3 to 5 years? Is it 60% of businesses fail in the first 3 to 5 years? But people still go out there and they give it their best shot. But if they fail, there's always some excuse. Oh, well, no, not oh, well, nothing. It failed. Doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means that that business failed. It's like a trade. I put a trade on. If I lose, it doesn't mean I'm a loser. It just means, well, I just wasn't lucky that time. You know, people say, well, you're equating it to gambling. I go, no, there's a big difference. You see, in gambling, there's rules to the game. The payout's always the same. There's a start and a stop. But in trading, you can jump in the game anytime you want. You can jump out anytime you want. In gambling, usually you put your money down. If you win, you get twice your money back. In trading, if you win, you might only get 1%, a 0.5%. You might get 100% if you're really lucky. So no, trading and gambling are not the same. They share some of the same characteristics, as in you're basically putting money down and hoping to profit for an event that you don't know the outcome to. It's that simple. Well, once again, egos get in the way. And it's like that in life. You know, many things you choose to do or not to do because of ego. It's not based on reason, logic. The statistics don't bear out your choices, but you go ahead, bullheaded, anyway. And if you're successful, you think it's because you're smart or brave, but many times you're just lucky. Because there's no way of knowing the outcome in advance. You open a business, there's no guarantee success. You don't know that outcome in advance. You can do all the business planning you want, but what if the day you open your business, right down the street or around the corner, a competitor opens a business, selling the same thing you do for a little less money? Or let's say there was an established business decided to expand and now start selling the same thing you do. These things you don't know. They're unknown to you. Luck of the draw. Oh well. How could you have known? You couldn't have. On the other hand, let's say you open a business and that day all your competitors go out of business. And then maybe, just maybe, you get lucky and you go on and your business grows and thrives. That could happen too. Guess it's like fishing. You can do all the preparation you want, but if fish don't bite, you ain't eating fish unless you go to the grocery store. So, once again, thinking fast and slow. I still got some reading to do in it, and I'll share some more thoughts with you on it. In fact, I'll probably be making another video geared to the traders, because I kind of got off track there, but not really off track for fellow preppers, fellow Americans, because, see, we're all going to be faced with a decision come election day, who to vote for. But once again, this book will tell you you're probably not going to make that decision based on statistics, and no, you're probably going to base your decision on some belief that you hold. Whether or not that belief is true or founded in fact. Because if you're a die-hard Democrat, then you're probably going to vote for Obama. And if you're a die-hard Republican, you're going to vote for Romney. No matter what the facts about either of those guys bears out. And if you hate Democrats and hate Republicans, then maybe you'll put a vote in for Ron Paul or somebody else that has a snowball's chance of winning. And some people say you threw your vote away. But you really didn't. Because every vote gets counted. Except maybe in some states. But that's a whole nother issue. Anyway, once again, thinking fast and slow. I highly recommend you get this book, read it. It's not going to be a fast read. You should read a chapter and then ponder it for a while. Read another chapter, ponder it for a while. You'll definitely be educated by this book. Definitely will be educated. So until next time.